As I sit here, I remember one of our earlier hearings on firearms legislation, and both the minority witnesses, as well, in fact, the entire panel consisting of majority minority witnesses, said they agreed that this nation is awash in guns. And Mr. Ludwig, you mentioned that we have over 400 million guns and 330 million Americans. So we are awash in guns. I mean, is there anybody on this panel who does not think that we are awash in guns in this country? Raise your hand if you think otherwise. Okay, so we are awash in guns. And meanwhile, the Supreme Court in various decisions, Heller was pretty much an astounding decision to me when suddenly individuals could, the Second Amendment, individuals could own firearms, but Scalia did say that we could legislate various kinds of limitations, I suppose that you could call it that. And then you fast forward to the Bruin decision, where suddenly we're supposed to look to what the founding fathers thought about in, 1791, or some astounding time frame such as that. Bruin has led to some unintended consequences, by the way. So here we sit, debating about whether or not we should put some limits on these kinds of enhanced weapons. My staff person just showed me a video of how fast these enhanced weapons shoot, and I can understand why. In the Las Vegas situation, so many people were killed. Astounding, horrifying. And just listening to the firepower of these weapons, one questions whether or not these should be illegal at all, and we should not be sitting here talking about whether ATF can regulate these firearms or whether it is somehow left to Congress. Hey, good luck with that. So I hardly know where to start. But maybe, it does occur to me that there are very few instances where Congress has rendered companies to be immune. So gun manufacturers are immune from the consequences of people using their products. So Mr. Ludwig, is there a possibility that gun manufacturers is making them liable? Is that an approach that we should consider?
I'm not a lawyer, so I wouldn't want to. Thank you for the question, Senator. I'm not a lawyer, so I wouldn't want to speak to the legality of that. I think what I would, as an economist and a social scientist, I would talk about the larger data and evidence about the effects of product regulation. And I think we have lots of examples from other products like motor vehicles, where changing product designs have led to massive improvements in safety, whether that's through litigation approaches or regulation approaches. We can see that when products become safer, products that are prone to misuse, that can wind up leading to lives.
Do we not have any lawyers on the panel? Okay, so Ms. Sanchez Gomez?
Yeah, absolutely.
You're a lawyer.
Yes.
Yes. What about holding manufacturers liable?
I think it's a really, really important point. I think regulating the gun industry in the way that we regulate other industries using litigation, which changes incentives for them to act in ways that are responsible, to act in ways that prevent the foreseeable harmful consequences of their actions, is an incredibly important tool of our civil legal system.
Could states hold gun manufacturers liable? Or is this an area that only the federal government can act?
Well, the federal government Congress passed a law that gives the gun industry broad immunity. It's not absolute immunity, but it is very broad and unprecedented for this industry. And so the federal government is the one that needs to act if we want to repeal that immunity.
Well, but the question is, can states act? Can states enact legislation that holds gun manufacturers liable?
Yeah, absolutely. And states are passing laws.
Okay, I think that's one of the ways that we can proceed. So the fact of the matter is, as I watch what the Supreme Court is doing, and I have described, by the way, this Supreme Court majority as an out-of-control Supreme Court, because I have a growing list of precedents that this Supreme Court is tossing out in so many areas of the law, and they're not done yet. So I just want to say to this committee and my wonderful members of the Judiciary Committee that I think we need to pay attention to Supreme Court reform, starting with that they don't even have any ethics provisions that apply to them. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
That's an issue we've talked about a lot, and I hope we'll continue to. Ms. Sanchez Gomez,